people like to get over with it. So they tend to be very quick in delivering the news, rush through it, and thereby forgetting that one of the mistakes that then comes from it is that taking the time to explain why it's necessary, for example, to cut some of the benefits, or why the organization has to restructure and lay off employees. So because people tend to want to get over with it, they rush through it and forget a lot about, providing explanations for employees for the why is it necessary. And so that then, because there is this no clear explanation for the why, employees tend to react negatively to that. So that's one of the common mistakes we see in the research, that it's just too quickly done because, of course, people are uncomfortable with it and therefore face this pitfall in the end. Main downsides, or the backlash for organization, is on the one hand that employees react negatively because their reactions are based on feelings of injustice. So everything that we find, or the majority of research results that we find on the individual level, are due to feelings of being unfairly treated, of injustices. And that causes then lower employee morale, lower commitment to the organization, higher turnover rates, but also lower work motivation, and that people retaliate against the organization in the worst case. So that's outcome that employees show, but also this plays up to the organizational level, because then organizations have faced the issue of lower organizational performance because employees do not perform well or do underperform. Higher turnover rates, that might also come with more recruitment efforts in the long run, which also cost money. If we have several thousands of employees, we can't do one-on-one meetings because that would be too time intensive. So there also, it has been shown that if it's done via email, provide at least the opportunity to have follow-up questions, to have a team in place that answers follow-up questions, and also think more about these administrative tasks, because what we also see and find is that employees are often, of course, they are thrown off if it's kind of not expected and comes rather quickly, and they did not expect that. If there is a lot of details in the first email, employees, because they are thrown off and it is a stressful situation, might come with a lot of stress, then it's also good to have additional informations from the HR side, or at least some follow-up reading materials or info sheets that people can follow up on once they have processed the information. Because what we see in the first place, people tend to just focus on the negative aspect, and later on they start to cope with this disruption at work or with this bad news, and then they need more information. And if there is someone who can help them get answers to that question, that's great. If it's in writing or if it's in person, it's just important that there is something that people can rely on if they should have questions. For HR managers, what we found is the medical discipline is kind of the very on the forefront of how to deliver bad news. As you can imagine, it's doctors or medical professionals need to deliver bad news on a daily basis. So they also identified this issue quite early on and said, we need to have a step-by-step protocol on training our professionals on how to deliver bad news effectively. And what they came up with was actually a 5-step program that's abbreviated with SPIKES. And that has been shown to be effective for life-threatening bad news. But that what we also found in the management discipline and for HR, some colleagues from Germany verified that also for bad news delivery in the organizational context, and also found that's also effective. So the 5 steps then are basically S for the spikes is preparing the setting. So if it should be in a town hall, or if it should it be online, or where is it and who is going to talk. That's like the first setting context, and where should it take place. The P in spike stands for preparation. So we tend to see in our research that people who are better prepared provide more explanations, have also the perspective taking, like what is it that my audience wants to hear, what is it that I should anticipate, what could be questions, so that people are well prepared if there should be questions. I in the spikes would be then sometimes in some cases they're already, employees heard it already through the grapevine, so the information might already be circulating, so the employees might also be better prepared in the end because they already anticipate the bad news, which is for HR professionals or supervisors actually a good thing. So making sure if maybe some rumors have already spread, so that would be then a different starting point from where you can basically deliver the news, because then it's easier because people know already that some of the benefits might be cut. Then of course deliver the news with a lot of explanation and information that should be honest and authentic. So that's one of the main things, because if it's inauthentic, people might still think that that's unfair, or it's just they just said this or that excuse, but it's actually not really the underlying issue. E in the spikes is then for emotions. So for cutting benefits, the emotional response from employees might be not that prevalent. But if it's bad news in the sense of someone loses their job, or a lot of employees lose their job, that's kind of giving them enough time to process. And what has also been found to be very effective is to provide a summary in the end, like wrapping up the whole delivery and then say, okay, so these are the major points. What are follow-up steps? What will change? As of when will it change? What can you anticipate? What do we need from you? So that people already in the end, when they processed it or get in the stage to better process the information, that they already know, okay, so what are things that I now need to consider? What can I do? What are the information that I further need? Maybe some information that the organization needs. So that helps them also planning ahead.